Hi there and welcome to my podcast. My name is Emilia and I'm really glad you decided to drop by. So this podcast, I want it to be something that's very casual, not too formal, not scripted. So I'm just going to talk. I made this channel with the idea that I wanted to do a lot of new things because I have lived and I have not tried anything in my life. It's so sad. If you think about it, today's October 1st and my birthday is November 1st. So in 1 month, I will be 29 years old and there's just so much I haven't experienced. So I got this idea that I wanted to create a channel. And I thought if I could create this channel where I could show people that life is to be lived, to be trying new things and not to just sit around and just let it pass you by, then maybe I could motivate people to do the same as me. Because when I start to have an idea, I become so damn passionate about it. So I try to push it onto other people, which can backfire sometimes or can work. So basically this is what I'm trying to do. But I have never used things like cameras or for a video editing software before, so it's such a hard learning process that yes, I feel really frustrated when nobody sees my videos, but at the same time I don't want anybody to see the videos yet because to me they're not at the quality that I would like. So it's a very strange situation. I want people to watch videos, but I don't want them to watch videos because they're not at a good quality yet, because I don't know what I'm doing yet. I don't understand yet how to edit properly, about cinematography, like where do you put the camera, what's the best angle, and like for example, I made a video recently just making fun of myself because it took me so long just to understand how autofocus works. It's so sad. I have had this camera since March. It's now October. Well, I made the video in September. I haven't put it up yet. I'm going to put it up pretty soon. But it took me that long just to understand how autofocusing works. So I would make a video and I would say, just after saying the same thing or trying to say, like paraphrasing as best as I could for like so many lines, I would get it perfect in that one instance, but the autofocus would be off and it would just be so frustrating. So there is a lot that you can learn from doing this thing, and I think that maybe it will take me some time before I get there, but I think I've learned something very interesting. You see, when I first started, I was so gang-ho, I'm gonna get lots of subscribers and blah blah blah. It's now October and I'm only at 12 subscribers, but I realized that even those 12 subscribers to me, even just getting that one person who thought my video was interesting enough to hit that subscribe button, to me it's just such a big deal. I get so excited. You know what I actually want to do? I want to message them and say, hey, how are you? Thank you so much for subscribing. But I think that maybe that will come off being a little bit too pushy, so I don't. But I really want to just tell them, thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. Every day I check to see if they unsubscribe because I am not as regular with the video uploading as I want to be because I'm just doing this on my time off. I actually cut down 1 day of my job so I can work on this, but like I will make a video and I just won't be happy with it. So anyway, so that is what my channel is about. But a podcast is supposed to be talking about random stuff. So let me just warn you now, like I said, I'm still new at the whole video editing thing. So as this is supposed to be very informal, I will be checking regularly to see how my camera is working. It only has a 10 minutes to get a high quality video, which is what I want. It only has a 10-minute timer, and after 10 minutes it just shuts off without telling you. So every now and then I'll be just checking to the side at the timer to make sure that I don't run over. I'm going to be just stacking the videos one on top of the other when I edit this because I just want it to be informal, just you and me talking. So one of the things that happened this week, I watched finally San Andreas. I watched this movie called San Andreas Quake first because I thought it was San Andreas. They're made by this studio, I think they're called Asylum Films. They make parody movies. I don't know if they're trying, I hope they're not trying to be serious because if they're trying to be serious, then wow. So let's just call them parody movies. They make parody movies before a big blockbuster will come out. So let's say we have the last one I watched was Transmorphers. They made it before Transformers came out, and it fools people because the name is so similar. So I've decided that I like their movies. They're so terrible, honestly. They're so bad, but they're I enjoy watching them because it's so cheesy and I just know it's terrible. I watched San Andreas Quake because I thought it was the San Andreas movie with The Rock, but I just thought the movie was so stupid, although it felt a little bit like it had a few racist moments in there. The lady, she didn't like the black guy with her daughter, but to be fair, in the movie he kind of had a rape van and they were like, honestly, as a mother, I would not want him near my daughter either. But anyway, so I watched San Andreas with The Rock sometime this week, a few days ago, and people are so critical of movies, but for me, I'm not critical of a movie. The way I see a movie is, if I enjoy it, I'm going into the movie to be wowed, not to like point out this is wrong. People have forgotten how to enjoy movies. This was a disaster movie, and I had fun watching it. I wish I had gotten to see it at the movie theaters, but I'm glad that I saw it. You know, The Rock, I love him. I absolutely love him. No matter what he does, he's just the best. I ended up loving the characters in the movie. Ben and his brother Ollie. Oh, I hope to see them in more movies. I just kept saying to myself, spoiler, Ben's gonna die. He's definitely gonna die. Because you know, in these movies, they always kill somebody off. So I just kept saying to myself, he's definitely going to die. So I was pleasantly surprised that his little brother, well, they can't kill a child. There are movie rules. You cannot kill a child. As well, anyway, in the Western world, I have seen movies where they do harm children, and it's I guess it's very shocking, and we don't like to watch it. So, but in this movie, I knew for a fact they wouldn't kill a child. They have to kill somebody else. They kill the terrible stepfather who left. Oh, it's just so sad. I know. You know what's the funny thing is that when you're in an emergency situation, your real personality comes out. Because he was such I'm a good father, these are my children, blah, blah, blah. Emergency comes, he just left her. But I understand that in that moment, she's not your daughter, but you're with her, she's trapped, you promised to help her, don't run away. And look, he died. I knew he was going to die, and I was waiting for him to die, because what they do is they make him seem like such a terrible person so that when he dies, you go, yes, serves you right. But the way they killed him was just a little bit too... Nobody deserves to die like that. So I kept saying to myself, okay, these movies, they always work where they kill one person and they kill the next person. But so I kept saying, Ben has to die. They're going to kill him off. So first, when the building was falling and the glass fell into his thigh, I was saying to myself, oh my God, the building's gonna fall on him, because for some reason they kept separating them, and you know how these movies work. When they separate the person, that means this person's going to die. So I kept saying, please don't die, please don't die, please. Because his character is just such a nice guy. And the chemistry between him and his little brother was just so adorable that I just didn't want to see him die. So I was very happy when they didn't kill him. And I kept wondering to myself, how did all the boats, really, spoiler, this is major spoilers. How did all the boats know to go towards the wave? Of course, they didn't show any of them surviving, and I'm sure maybe one or two survived because the Rock's boat was on the bottom and there were a whole bunch of other boats already in the front. So I'm sure many of them went to the top of the wave before it did the crashing thing. So but I kept wondering, is that a thing that they teach boat owners, that if there is a tsunami, if you're on the water, you need to go to... Honestly, that scene was just so amazing. I watched it over and over because it just looked like... I'm just so happy just remembering it, because you watch all the boats, they're all just racing towards the wave, trying to go above it, and you can tell that I haven't watched a disaster movie in a while. It's terrible that I felt actually the movie did make I shed tears during the movie, especially during the tsunami scene where the old lady and her husband, I guess, when she saw the wave and she just hugged him. Oh my God, just so heartbreaking. And I think that's what they're going for. I mean, in tragedies like this, you know, people die and they don't show it to you, and I don't like watching these kinds of scenes, but I like watching scenes that are so dramatic. So I separate myself from the people who got hurt. You know, the police officer, when she looked up at the wave and her face, I'm just heartbreaking, and you know they don't make it. So I separate myself from these things because I don't like to watch those parts. But the amazing moments when you see the boat trying to, like, all those boats racing towards the giant tsunami to get above it, just epic. Okay, so enough spoilers for the movie. I genuinely enjoyed it. I think The Rock is an amazing man. I would be so happy if one day I was just in the same building as him. I don't even have to meet him just to be able to say, there is The Rock over there. And because, you know, I grew up in the Caribbean and we used to watch The Rock on television when he was in WWF, before it was WWE. You know, do you smell what The Rock is cooking? You know, we used to watch that and it was so entertaining. He was my favorite since I was a little girl. So I've watched all his movies. I'm just a big fan. There's nothing, he can't do anything wrong, in my opinion, which is not a good thing. But I love him. So, I was watching the movie, I kept saying to myself, what kind of person would choose, I don't care how much money he has, who would choose this person over The Rock? Nobody, only a crazy person would do that. He's everything. Anyway, let's just not go there because I love him and my opinion is biased. So I thought, there was a scene in the movie where, there's always a scene in these disaster movies where people realize, oh, something bad is going on. Let's run to the grocery store and let's get emergency supplies. And I'm just like, humans, we put ourselves in this situation. You know me, especially during those times when we used to have all those zombie movies playing all the time. I got into a habit because, you know, the one scene, there's always that scene. Everybody's rushing to the grocery store to grab water, and then there's always somebody with a gun because, you know, it's chaos, it's anarchy. Nobody's gonna be following the rules and everybody wants to survive and they don't care about you. So they're going to kill you. So I keep thinking to myself, we know that a lot of these disaster movies, well, not the zombie ones, but a lot of these disaster movies are based on real human reactions. In a situation like that, this is how we will react. Our first instinct is to try to get as much water and dry foods as we can to weather out the disaster. So why would we not plan in advance? I actually had, you know, my biggest fear of world end, it's not meteorites or earthquakes. Those are frightening, yes, but my biggest fear is the zombie apocalypse. For some reason, something about that just freaks me out. I cannot stand it. So, you know, a few years ago when they kept making all these zombie movies after another, World War Z this and Dawn of the Day and whatever they're called, just lots of zombie movies. So I decided that I'm going to be making my this is so silly, but my zombie survival kit. It's basically because I don't want to have to be the one to rush to the grocery store. I have a little bit of paper here, so I have notes for myself so I don't forget what I want to talk about. But basically, I have my zombie survival kit. It's like a whole bunch of 4 to 6 cases of water, which I keep rotating out. Basically, how I do it is I buy a whole bunch of water, and water lasts several years. Now, people don't realize this, that they think that the expiration date on a bottle of water means the water is expiring. That is not true. The expiration date on a bottle of water is for the bottle, especially those reusable bottles. They tend to be biodegradable, so they start to break down, and at that time the bottle is no longer good. But the water does not expire as long as it's not exposed to any contaminants. The water is good to use. So what I do is I buy 4 to 6 cases of water, And every couple of months I kind of rotate it. So if I open up one case of water, because sometimes I don't like the taste of tap water, and plus then you'll hear of a scare in the water system. Not hair, but you know, it's something that goes into your mind. I heard there is a parasite that lives into the water. It goes into your brain, and it just So a lot of times I tend to prefer the taste of, basically bottled water doesn't taste like anything to me. It just tastes like cold air. So I prefer the taste of bottled water. There are some tap waters that I like, and there are some filtered waters that I like, but I prefer to have something cold that I can cover, because I don't like you know, those particles in the air just going into my water, and sometimes it takes me a while to finish drinking a bottle of water. So I prefer the bottles over the cups, because I am a clumsy kind of person and I will drop it or make a mess somewhere. So water is, I know I went on a tangent there, but water. Then you need, I have a whole bunch of dried foods and canned foods. Nothing that has, nothing that needs like milk, only something that will need water, because milk expires and powdered milk tastes terrible if you try to use it for cooking, unless maybe it's like a cake or something, but even then I think it tastes terrible. So I have that as well. Then there's emergency supplies like band-aids, burn creams, bandages, peroxide, those kind of things. I have those as well. So I got it into my idea, I'm not going to be one of these people running to the grocery store and then having to fight somebody with a gun and then getting myself killed. I have my own emergency supplies on the side, so when the emergency does happen, I'm ready. So I also had I got the World War Z guide to survival, you know, the book that they made. I read that as well, where he says the best weapon for zombie apocalypse is a crowbar. I'm saying it now, it's kind of embarrassing that I took it so seriously, but I still do keep my emergency supplies. I tell everybody that I like bottled water, but in truth it's actually there as an emergency supply in case something happens and we don't have water and then the world just goes crazy. So I think everybody should have some, at the very least, have water. If you don't want to have a whole bunch of dried foods and canned foods there just in case, at least have water. That's the most essential thing. You can try to drink contaminated water, but then you're just putting yourself at risk. And then you don't have to rush to the grocery store with your little children and then somebody pulls out a gun and oh, also if you wear glasses, have a spare set of glasses on the side. I broke my spare set, so this is actually the spare. I broke my regular one and I actually fell asleep on this one. One day I was reading and I fell asleep on it, so it's kind of crooked now, so I need another pair of glasses to make this one into the spare in case something happens. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Yeah, so that was basically what I wanted to tell you about, because I watched the movie and I just kept wondering, why do we always have to keep running to the grocery store and nobody ever prepares for these things? Because we're so comfortable in life that we think that nothing bad is ever going to happen. But you know, it's when you don't prepare, that's when you're most likely to get hurt. You don't know what's going to happen. Yesterday was fine, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow is going to be okay. Who knows what's going to happen? So get prepared. Okay, so now I'm just gonna give you a little heads up on some things that's going on my website. Okay, yesterday I spent literally, I wasn't feeling well yesterday. I'm actually not feeling well today right now. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. I thought I did, but I'm not. Anyway, so when I got up, I was supposed to actually do this yesterday, but I wasn't I was supposed to do it the day before, but even then I wasn't feeling well, so I mainly spent the day in bed. And yesterday I felt a little bit better to get up, so it was already late in the day and the sun is not good enough and my light's not good enough, so I thought it wouldn't be a good idea to try to make the to try to make this podcast, because then the light wouldn't be good, and my lights are just so bad. If you've seen the videos, they look so dark. Right now I don't even know if this is going to be bright enough. It looks like it's okay. That's why I have the light behind me to try to trick the camera into like being brighter, because I still don't understand how this thing works. But anyway, so what I did yesterday, I spent all day until like from 2 to like midnight. I spent all day trying to redesign my website because I have an idea of what I want to do. I know how I want it to work, but it's not coming out the way. It didn't look the way that I wanted it to. So I spent all day yesterday redesigning it. It looks a little bit better, but still it's not where I want to go. However, it is a better looking website. So I thought I would introduce you to the website today, tell you a little bit about what I have going on there. I have a lot of stuff going on YouTube, but that's not all. On my website, I'm also working on plans to write, which is something that is a big deal for me. I always wanted to write. In fact, I did always want to write a book, and I did end up doing it twice. Once when I was 12 and once when I was about 17. When I moved to Calgary, I didn't have the room in my luggage because I couldn't afford to bring everything with me, and I had to make a lot of sacrifices. So both of those books, which I wrote when I was under 20, are gone now. One was a romance novel, the other was a fantasy, an epic fantasy, and both of them I had to make the decision to get rid of them because I didn't have the room for them. The epic fantasy, I wrote it on while in school on paper like this. So it was lots and lots and lots of little papers. It was like lots of chapters. I don't remember how many, but 20 something chapters, and each of them was in an orange folder, and it actually filled up a full, I had a little strap bag. It filled up the entire thing, and I was going by train because I'm terrified of planes, and my travel, I couldn't afford to bring it with me, so I had to make the decision. And plus it wasn't really a very good book anyway, but I wanted to keep it as a memory of something that I did, so I ended up having to get rid of it. So now that I've decided that I want to once again attempt to write, I have in my mind the 2 stories. One is the epic story that it actually came to me in 3 dreams that I had over the course of one night. It's like the dreams just kept going. It's very violent, very adult, very just, I'm afraid of what this story is going to do, because the way I see it, I don't think I'm good enough to write it. It's such an amazing story. Like, well, I think it's amazing because it's mine, but I hope others will think the same thing as well. But I'm in the process of working on it. I'm planning to put it on the website so that others can read it if they're interested before I decide to publish it, mainly because I want to know what other people think about it, because you know, you are biased towards yourself. You think whatever you do is perfect, and it might not be that way. So I want to put it on the website so people can read it and let me know what they think about it. So this is one thing that's going on the website. The second thing, it's even more, I have basically 3 original stories that I want to work on. So the first one is that epic fantasy that's going to be crazy. I have a feeling that if I could do it properly, it could be something amazing. The second one, it's basically, I just wanted to write a response story for that 50 Shades of Grey, because a little while ago I tried to watch the movie and I tried to read the books, and it was just so terrible that I just couldn't get through it. So I thought I could write a book and show these people how it's done, because it's always billionaire this, and you know, let's stop giving women and young girls these ideas that they need to get a billionaire and he has to be like really rich, and you know, regular men are fine too. There's nothing wrong with a man who just does a regular job, and he can still be commanding, and he can, if that's what you're into, he can still be a strong, powerful individual. But it's always billionaire this, and he's a supernatural creature this, and you're just building so many unfair expectations for women that I think it's going to damage the young girls that are growing up today. So I thought I could write a story that's a healthy-ish story in response to that. It's not something I'm as interested in. And the last thing, it's called Project. Whoa, I just watched somebody, I'm sitting in front of my window, and this guy on a bicycle, he just drove in front of oncoming traffic. He almost got, people are crazy, honestly. it's like they don't value their lives at all. And literally, if he had just been like 2 seconds later, he got hit by the car. Anyway, so the third story, it's called Project MX, which stands for Emistorm Continuing Story. Basically, I use the 140 character limit that Twitter offers, and with a random noun generator, I use one word prompt and use that 140 character to make a story every single day. So it's following the young man called Kyrie. I don't know what the plot is because I'm using random nouns to give me prompts so that I can further his story. Right now, he is in a village called Industry, and he's decided to stay with a family who works with meat. I don't know where this story is going. I literally just use the prompts that I get from the random noun generator, and I try to use a story to follow through with that prompt. And that's the big thing for the website right now. The next thing I'm working on, mainly the website, I want it to be something that's fun. So it's going to have lots of, like for example, I have the hypotheticals where I give you a scenario. These are the parameters, and you decide how you're going to respond based on the scenario. So I've done one right now. It's called virtual reality horror. The next one I'm working on, it's I don't have a name for it yet. I have already written it down, but I haven't figured out what name I want to go with yet. So check that out on my website. I will leave a link to all of these things down below. And anyway, enough about the website. So let's talk about something that I really wanted to mention. Things that are overhyped. You see, I try my best not to follow things that are overhyped because, you know, people build things up so high. Like they build it up so high that you expect the greatest things. So for me, I don't follow things that are overhyped. I cannot do it. So you know who my favorite YouTuber is right now? That's PewDiePie. Which, he's the #1 guy, but that's not the reason why I follow him. In fact, I chose not to follow him for years. He was #1 for a long time, and I didn't want to watch any of his videos because it's just so overhyped that I was thinking it's gonna be terrible. They were going to build up this guy who's supposed to be amazing, and then he ends up being not, and I don't want to listen to this. Plus, I don't play video games, so I didn't think it would be something that's interesting for me. Also, I'm a big coward. I don't like horror, and he played a lot of horror games. So for me, that was just not the place that I would want to go. I followed a lot of different other channels, and I used to spend a lot of my time on YouTube watching videos. There's one channel in particular that I watched. They're called Fine Brothers, and they did a video called Elders React to PewDiePie. And I remember watching that video, and I just burst out laughing. Like, I understand the elders didn't get the humor that he was doing. Megan Fox! He's such a funny guy. So this is my introduction to an overhyped character. I never watched it because I thought it was just, I don't want to watch it because he's overhyped and it's going to be something terrible and I'm not going to enjoy it. So I watched that video and I went over to his channel to check him out, and I went through a playlist. He has like 2,000 videos at the time, and I went through lots of his videos. I skipped, of course, all of the horror games because I don't like those, but just so entertaining. So another thing I would like to mention about overhyped. People almost kill me when I mention this. I have never seen any of those legacy movies, Star Wars, you know, the Monty Python series, the one with the Crystal Skull and Harrison Ford. I have never seen any of these movies, and I don't intend to watch any of these movies because they're just so overhyped. And I have heard so much of the plot. I've seen all the memes. I expected, I don't want to watch them. I do want to watch them, and I keep telling myself eventually I will watch them, but I'm afraid to watch them because they're so overhyped that I'm expecting them to be just like the most amazing things, but I'm very biased or very snobbish towards technology, and these things were made in a time when technology was not very good. So I'm afraid that if I watch them, I will hate them. I haven't seen any of the old Star Trek TV shows or movies, and people are just so into it, and all the time you hear it's a trap, and the forces, these are not the droids you're looking for, and something about a crystal, and there's a Nazi this, and it's just, I'm interested in watching them, but I'm afraid that I will be disappointed when I see it. Now the problem is though, I don't have a problem with spoilers. In fact, when I was younger, I used to read a lot. What I used to do is, before I even opened up the first page of the book, I would either go to the back page and read the last page, or read the last chapter. So I don't have a problem with spoilers. It's just that when people build things up so high, I am afraid to watch it, because then I will expect that it will be terrible, right? Am I being crazy? Is that something that other people do? Because I feel that watching, when I expect something to be amazing and it ends up being not good, or not even that, it's when you're expecting, you keep thinking, when is this part going to happen? When is this part going to happen? And I've basically heard the entire plot of all of these stories, so I know I will expect, like the Star Wars, you have to watch it in this order, and this one is better than that one, and his father, and they cut off the hand, and no, I'm not your father, and you know, I feel like I already know the entire story. Same thing with Naruto. I really wanted to watch the TV show, the anime, but I've basically, I know the entire plot already, because it's so overly hyped. The same thing happened with Fairy Tail. I'm a big anime fan, so I watch a lot of anime. I was old school anime before anime was even something that people, before it became mainstream. I used to watch, I remember the first time I watched Elfen Lied. Oh my god, trauma. I was so traumatized. It took me like 3-4 times before I was able to actually watch the series. The first scene in that anime is just crazy. All you see is a twitching hand, like this, like it's like, then they pan in and you see it's actually a severed hand. And I was just, the first time I saw that, I used to just randomly click on random anime, because you never know what you're gonna see and you might find something interesting. So I remember I clicked on this one. I was so shocked. I was talking to somebody about it, and they told me it's worth the watch. You have to watch it. It's really good. It's really frightening, but it's very good. So I watched that anime, and it wasn't a problem for me. Eventually, it took me years before I had the courage enough to watch it. And I started to watch a whole bunch of horror anime at the time, because I'm like, if I can watch that one, then maybe I can watch others. I watched Guns. Guns is a very adult anime. It has some themes in there that are just no good. I didn't like the ending of Guns, because it felt very open. I'm the type of person, I want you to tell me exactly what happens. The Japanese like you to like guess, and that's why the anime is always so filled with misunderstandings. They want you to guess. So in the anime, I know there's a manga, and I'm not going to read the manga because it's just too violent for me. I don't like they kill people and they show you the insides, and it's just so violent. But I didn't like the fact that he jumped in front of the train and the lights were coming. So did he die? Did he survive? Was it a lie? He got to the 30 kills. What happened? They were so open-ended about it. I don't like it. I tried to watch another. I can't. It's just, I can't. That anime is terrible. It's not, well, no, it's not terrible. It's just, it's too, like, the violence just comes at you like, one minute they're talking, the next minute they're just, I can't watch this one. I watched Dead Man's Wonderland. That was an amazing series. Dead Man's Wonderland, an amazing series. It ended with a lot of plot holes, in my opinion, because they escaped, yes. They had the collar around the neck, which required them to eat the candy, the sour bitter candy, every 24 hours. So if they escaped, where are they going to get the candy? They still have the collar around the neck. Does it stop functioning when they're not in the prison? Because I don't think that's how it works. So even if they escaped, they're still going to die anyway. So what was the point of escaping? I know it's a very brutal prison. I would not want to go there, especially if I was innocent. Like that scene where they were in the carnival and they were racing. Oh, just the poor little boy, when he tells everybody he didn't do it, that's the worst. So I watched that one and I really enjoyed it, except for the gore obviously, but it was a very, very good anime. I watched the last horror anime I watched was I tried to watch Parasite, but that one I couldn't get into it. But I did watch Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan, I felt they could make it a little more violent. Like, for example, in the first scene where the monster, what are they called? I forgot. The Titans. When the Titans ate the mother, they cut away from the scene. I mean, you're making a horror movie. We expect you to show it. I know what's going to happen. You're eating humans. Don't sneak away. I know they were probably going for dramatics where the little boy, you could see his face where his mom got eaten, but I think they should have showed her getting it. See, I went from being really afraid of watching these shows to wanting to see the mom getting eaten. Attack on Titan, though, I think that show is an amazing anime. It's amazing. Like, they show you human beings in their most violent and their most desperate and their most frightened. It's so well done. Like, I don't even know. I think maybe they're making a season 2, and I really hope that they make a season 2. This is why I'm keeping my Crunchyroll subscription, because I really want to wait for it to come out, and I'll just be so excited when it does, because they did such an amazing job with it. It's so interesting. I don't know how far they will go, because I think everybody's going to die in that show, and a lot of the really good characters, I was very disappointed. Like, you know, the girls, the Titans, the big ones, they're people that are in the like I said, spoiler, this is an old anime, so if you haven't seen it yet, then sorry. I will put a spoiler note in the front of this video before why I play it. But these are your friends. I haven't heard the full story yet. Maybe they have a reason why they're attacking the people inside the wall, but these are innocent people. They have nothing to do with that. If you're a Titan, you should go after like the government. I'm sure they're the ones that did whatever to you. That's why you're so upset. So why are you going after these nice people? They're innocent children, and it's just, when I found out that there were students who were with them who were killing everybody, it was just so sad for me. Just because you know these people. But anyway, it's a good show. So this is I went crazy on the overhyped. I don't know where this tangent went on horror, but another overhyped show I watched and I enjoyed was Fairy Tail. I didn't watch Fairy Tail for the longest while because I thought it was too hyped, and I was just expecting it to be terrible, but this one is worth the hype. Fairy Tail is an amazing television show. The messages that it gives about family and being like trusting each other and being there for each other, and you're always there. Oh, it's just beautiful. I intend to get a tattoo. I'm going to get one tattoo for this arm. I have this beauty mark, I think they call it. I had it, you know, both hands, I want them to be the same. When I was a little girl, I had this I have little spots, little beauty marks all over my body. But I didn't like the way it was on this arm, because one arm is clear and this arm has one, so it doesn't look nice to me. So when I was a little girl, I thought it was a good idea to get a needle and try to remove it. Instead, it ended up being huge. It was like a tiny spot when I first had it, but I took a needle because I'm a little crazy, and I thought if I could just peel it out, it would come out, and it ended up becoming this huge, pretty big thing. So I've decided that when I get a tattoo, when I'm brave enough, because I'm also afraid of needles, I'm going to get a tattoo around it. But I've decided that my second tattoo that I'm going to get is going to be a fairy tale, the fairy tale stamp, or whatever they call it, the logo. And I'm going to put it maybe on this shoulder so it's not visible too often, but it's going to be there because I like what the show represents. Fairy tale, to me, it represents such an amazing message. Friendship, family, you're always there for each other, you trust each other, which is something that we don't see in the real world. So I intend to do something like that. Enough rambling on that. Okay, some things that I'm working on right now. Well, I have already filmed and I'm just in the process of editing. I did a fashion show. Very silly. I want to do something silly on this channel. I just want to have fun and be free and stop having to worry about what the world thinks. So I'm going to do a lot of epic trials where I try new things for the first time, but I'm going to do a lot of silly things just because I want to. So I've done a fashion show. It's modeling scarves, lots and lots of scarves. Just me walking back and forth being silly and showing off scarves. I've done a funny makeup video where it's me pretending that I'm a little girl and I'm playing with my mom's makeup. So basically I'm just doing whatever I want to. I did a video also where I attempted, basically it was supposed to be a hot pepper challenge, where a hot pepper fitness challenge where, because I am not at peak physical form, I'm not, because I like to watch a lot of anime and that means you end up sitting or lying down a lot. So I've decided that as part of my channel I want to also get to a point where I am at a weight goal that I want to be at. So I decided that to do that I would do a program where in the beginning of each month I would do a hot pepper fitness challenge where I would do a set of 6 exercises, and if I could complete them, all's well. But if I couldn't complete them, then based on the degree, I would go from a mild hot pepper to a hot pepper. And I did the first one. I was able to complete a few of the exercises, but then I got obviously to the hard parts. And I attempted, first I ate a jalapeno pepper, which was actually really nice. I don't eat hot things because I'm not good at the hot. I cannot do it. It makes me cry, it makes my nose run, it's not good. I think you should not be in pain when you're eating. That's my stand on it. So I ate the jalapeno, it wasn't too spicy. I think it has a 500 Scoville score anyway, so that's not very hot. Then I went to the Thai green chili, and I'm gonna put the video out just as a funny video because I'm not doing this again. It was terrible and I thought I was going to die, and I don't know how you people out there can eat hot peppers because you're crazy. You're crazy. I showed one of my roommates the video and she thought it was just hilarious because I'm going to cut out the part where it made me but basically it was just unpleasant and bitter, and I don't know how people cook with it. So that's another video that is going to be coming out really soon, eventually. If you're interested in anything that I've mentioned so far, this is my first attempt at a podcast, so I'm just seeing how it goes. Maybe it will work out, maybe it won't. Anything I have to tweak, I will try to tweak it in the next one. I want to make this into a weekly thing. I will try to I wanted to put in some skits in there, and I have already also made the skits. Like there's one where I do a picture remake, and I do the girl who couldn't sing, and I do dance like nobody's watching. I have like all these little skits, but I think this place is haunted. I'm so scared. I'm scared. Seriously, did you hear that? What the heck was that? I think there's a ghost following me. I want to check, but I don't want to check. Okay, let's pretend that didn't happen. What was that? Nope, I'm not checking. No, I have to check. No, I don't want to check. Okay, it was nothing. Just my imagination. I'm a coward. When's my roommate coming back? I want somebody to be here. Half an hour. I'm fine. I'm not afraid. My video is running, and if something happens, then you guys will see it. Or it will be evidence for the police when they come to find me from the ghost that's inside here. I swear, I am being haunted. Seriously, I'm paranoid now. I'm gonna go check. I didn't see anything, but let me tell you a story of what happened while I was at work last week. Basically, I work at a restaurant and I work in the afternoons. But one of the overnight guys, well, the only overnight guy, he went on vacation for 3 weeks. So I've been taking over his shifts for him. So this week is my last week. So I have today, later on tonight, and tomorrow. I'm seriously, I'm freaked out. And I was there last Thursday and I was working for him doing his regular stuff, and the lights in the dining room of the restaurant started to flicker, and one of the bags of products just fell on the floor. It was so strange because the lights, I went there later on and the lights were fine. So why would they just run? I'm freaking myself out because now I'm going to be thinking about this when I go to work, because I'm a coward and I don't like things that are scary. So what I ended up doing was I brought my phone and headphones and I turned it on and I was just listening to a playlist of YouTube videos to take my mind off it. And actually that worked very well because the time went by quickly, and the person who was supposed to be there with me at 5 in the morning ended up, it just happened so fast. But that moment actually really frightens me because throughout the rest of the week I kept checking and the lights were not flickering anymore. It was just in that moment when the product fell on the floor, and it should not have fallen because it was perfectly perched. So how did it fall? I'm really going to be thinking about this when I go there tonight, and I'm not going to be doing overnight shifts anymore. Nope, no more. Unless I'm with somebody. Okay, so I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, this is I'm seriously so scared. This is something that yeah. So I've done a lot of little skits as well. I'm going to be putting them out as individual videos on the channel. That way, I want to make it so that I can put at least one video out a day. So for the next month, from the month of October, I'm going to be making lots of little skits, lots of little videos. So there will be recommendation videos, there will be videos on things in science, theories, I'll be doing picture remakes, video remakes, tributes, video recommendations, music recommendations. I will be doing food cooking. I'll try out new foods. I'll do food combinations. I'll try out new clothing. I'll go on adventures, scavenger hunts. Basically, lots of stuff. I'm going to try lots of stuff for the rest of the month, and then I'm going to start in November to be putting out new videos every day. I want the podcast to be something that comes out every Friday, but maybe it will be in the beginning every 2 weeks until I can get better at it. Right now, I know this podcast, I'm not pleased with how it's going so far, but it's the first one and I'm sure nobody's going to see this anyway, so it's okay. Let's see. If you want to have anything of yours featured on the podcast, you can send me an email or you can find me on the social media and just put in the hashtag #EmiPodcast so I know that you want it featured on the podcast. Let's see. Now I'm going to end this now because literally I'm freaking out. But I'd like to ask if you've had any scary encounters on anything in life, any moment where something just didn't seem right to you. Please leave a comment down below and tell me about it. You witnessed my scary moment. Like, maybe it was nothing. Maybe, what was that? Anyway, if you've had any moments where you were frightened of something or something just seemed unnatural to you, please let me know about it down below. I find this story is very interesting and we can all share it together. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you very much for watching my first attempt at a podcast. It's a very rough attempt, I know that, but thank you anyway for watching. If you're interested in seeing me trying to improve, then please take the time to subscribe. If you want to, you can also like and share, and hopefully I will see you next week. And thank you once again for watching. See ya!